Beyond titles, she's someone who actually saw a problem, felt discomfort, and chose action over apathy. Do you think that as woman, you had to actually make the effort double? So it was doubling of the effort when it came to actually bringing about that change and shifting the mindset?
हमने 2018 के अंदर एक कॉन्सर्ट कराया था डेफ लोगों के लिए. It was making music accessible for people who can't hear. And when we launched it, when we talked about it on Instagram, event से पहले हर किसी का comment आ रहा था कि ये कैसी बात है कि जो लोग सुन नहीं सकते उनको आप म्यूजिक सुनाएंगे.
Imagine walking into a hospital, a police station, or even a bank, and no one understands you. Not because you're invisible, but because the system is not built to listen. Remember, accessibility is not charity, it's dignity. And today I'm sitting with someone who decided that if the world is not willing to listen, that she will build a system that does. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another exciting episode of Rise Beyond Titles, a place where we share stories of people who had the courage to build something that did not exist before. A story of purpose, stories of change, and stories of resilience. So our guest today is Azima Dhanjee. She is the CEO and co-founder of ConnectHear, an application and a platform that uses technology to bridge the communication gap for deaf and people with disabilities. Beyond titles, she is someone who actually saw a problem, felt discomfort, and chose action over apathy. Welcome to Rise Beyond Titles, Azima. It's so good to have you on the show. I think I've been chasing you for some time. And finally, we found that window and the time to actually meet and have that interesting conversation.
Absolutely. I was really looking forward to have a conversation with you. Thank you for being patient with me and thank you for doing this. I think we need more women to speak to other women and give them the platform. So thank you for creating this space.
So once again, thank you for coming to the show. And thank you for appreciating the effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, Rise Beyond Titles is all about giving people the opportunity to share their journey, share their stories. And you are doing an amazing work.
Thank you.
I have been secretly admiring you, honestly speaking. So that's why I was chasing after you to give us time and share your story. Let's start with your journey. Before ConnectHear. What is it that actually changed? What was that moment which made you feel that you need to do something?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. कि इंसान की ज़िंदगी में there are such moments that shape them into the person that they're becoming.
Exactly.
I think silently they don't even know about it. I come from a very low income middle class family, so for me it was like getting any opportunity is great. And I feel my parents played such a huge role, regardless of them being deaf and not being able to communicate with the outer society.
Oh, so that's where the real empathy came in and
course.
Understanding, because were both your parents, I mean, are both your parents?
Yeah, both of my parents, my aunts, uncles, the khala, khalu, phuppa, phuppi. So I come from a very big deaf family.
Okay.
And हमारे यहाँ पर दावतों के अंदर लोग साइन लैंग्वेज में बातें कर रहे होते हैं, तो if you come to our दावत, you will feel confused. आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि सारे लोग इशारों में बात करें. But that's the kind of family and surrounding I was raised up in.
What a blessing for your parents. You were complete in that perspective, and secondly, you are actually understanding that problem and taking it forward, bringing in a solution.
Absolutely.
So that's commendable. So
I mean, मुझे लगता है अम्मी अब्बू ने हमेशा they were very active in deaf groups, deaf organizations.
Okay.
They realized that we have our children to interpret for us. There are a lot of deaf families जिसके पास कोई भी ऐसे hearing लोग नहीं है. So my parents, since I was like 10 or 11, would ask me to go with their friends to interpret.
Okay.
किसी का doctor appointment है, किसी को कोई workshop लेनी है. I remember I was like 11 or 12 and I interpreted a full day of Canon photography workshop for one of my my parents' friends who's deaf. तो मेरी ज़िंदगी इतनी ज़्यादा surrounded थी इन लोगों के साथ that I realized कि they have commendable potential. They're super smart. they're just isolated from the rest of the world because they speak a different language.
Yeah.
You know, they're just marginalized because of that. And I think, of course, frustration bhi thi growing up ke why aren't people taking a step to understand how brilliant my parents are, and why do they still, you know, whenever we go out for shadi dawats and हम कभी किसी मॉल भी चले जाते थे, मैंने ज़िंदगी में हर तरह के कमेंट्स सुने that you can imagine. You know, people बेचारगी दिखा रहे हैं, तरस खा रहे हैं, मैंने सब कुछ देखा है. And I just wished growing up कि मैं उन्हें बता सकूं how fantastic my parents are. When I was 15 years old, I got an opportunity to go to the United States. I did an exchange program there.
Wonderful.
10 months ka as an exchange student. When I was in the US, I literally saw कि वहाँ पर American Disability Act की वजह से there was so much support and technology available for people with disabilities and for the deaf community कि वो लोग, you know, doctors भी बन रहे थे, lawyers भी बन रहे थे. And my head was constantly thinking कि अगर मेरे parents US में raised up हुए होते तो उनकी ज़िंदगी कितनी मुख्तलिफ होती and how independent they would have been, even more, you know, and having the ability to talk to people, to communicate with people. However, I don't think कि ज़िंदगी में कभी ये सोचा था कि I would be doing this work. I came back to Pakistan. I spoke to a lot of people. You know, I motivated adults who were in this space कि कुछ करें. And then when I saw nobody doing anything about, you know, people with disabilities and using technology for them, I think एक दिन अल्लाह की तरफ से दिल में आया कि कोई नहीं कर रहा, इसका ये मतलब नहीं आप नहीं कर सकती, right? And I was 18 when the thought came, and at 19 with my friends I started ConnectHear.
Oh wow, this is such an inspiring story.
Thank you.
Because so many people notice these gaps in our societies. People talk about them, but it's like really you see people who actually decide to act.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you don't need permission to act and to bring about that change. You actually stood up and said, forget about everyone else.
Yes.
I'm going to stand up and do something
Yes.
about it. And that too at such a young age.
Such a young age, no background, no support. You know, people look
Yeah,
at ConnectHear's
exactly.
journey and they always ask me, like, you know, so did you know all of these people who you're working with right now? I knew nobody, right?
Yeah.
And I think जब आपकी नीयत साफ होती है, आप किसी चीज़ को पूरे दिल से करना चाहते हैं, it's law of attraction. You attract all of these people towards you,
Absolutely.
towards your mission. And also people realize ConnectHear is beyond me. You know, that's how I look at it. कि
Exactly.
ConnectHear और इसका impact जो ज़िंदगी में लोगों के create कर रहा है, it's beyond Azima, it's beyond Arham, our team. It has to go on. More players have to, you know, keep on doing this.
That's absolutely wonderful. It's like you were born with a purpose, Azima.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah,
So
Alhamdulillah.
God sent you with a purpose. It was there in you, and it just, you know, came about at the right moment.
Absolutely.
And then you started meeting. So you were born to do this. So when you started ConnectHear, I'm sure, as you said, that the thought came to your mind and you started attracting like-minded people. But what were the key challenges that you went through? Because that's very important for people who are actually thinking about doing something.
Yeah.
And it's those, I feel it's those initial period that's the deciding factor, whether it's going to go to a, you know, create that real impact, or it's just going to die its own death.
Absolutely. I think there are so many challenges doing ConnectHear, especially with like who are going to be the people I'm going to run the show with.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, I come from a very strong deaf family. If I wanted, I would have gotten, you know, my cousins or my brother who have the same traits and skill set like me to found the organization. But I looked for people who brought in something different. So वो जो founding team को ढूंढना और वो एक founding team create करना, उसके अंदर synergy create करना, that was, you know, a real task. Not only that, but when we wanted to start ConnectHear, who would be the mentors for the organization, who's going to give us resources? And I think what helped us the most was, you know, लोग कहते हैं ना, ignorance is a bliss. The less you know, the better at times, right? So I didn't know the people I was reaching out to. They were like, you know, जैसे जहारा है, she's such a big name in the tech industry.
Yeah.
But when I reached out to her team, for me it was like, I'm reaching out to someone for support. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. I reached out to her team, and then I met her in person, walking into her office one day, and then got incubated at the Nest.io at a very early stage. They didn't even have an incubation period going on. तो आई थिंक सबसे बड़ा हमारे लिए चैलेंज था कि स्टार्ट कैसे करना है. हम लोगों को रीच आउट करेंगे तो वो क्यों हमें जवाब देंगे, यू नो, हु इज अजीमा, यू नो. और उस वक्त तो कनेक्ट हियर का नाम भी नहीं स्टैब्लिश हुआ था. लाइक वी डिडंट इवन कम अप विद द नेम, बट आई थिंक, यू नो, जस्ट working on the passion that we had, you know, talking about it that passionately, that actually made a difference. Not only that, I think जब हमने connected बना भी लिया, हम बात भी करते थे, a lot of people came up to me and they said that, why are you working for a niche group? Right? Like this terminology कि यार ये इतनी छोटी community है, niche है, आप niche के लिए क्यों काम कर रहे हैं? And I think I disagreed to the fact कि, you know, this niche group doesn't matter because, you know, right now the statistics says that about 9.4% हमारा अभी सेंसस कहता है, लेकिन WHO कहता है 16%. 16% मुल्क की अवाम has some level of disability. And I think when you look at it from a perspective to bring this community to the financial sector, to the healthcare sector, educational sector, it's a
and
huge
to the mainstream,
to the
basically.
mainstream, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge percentage. And लेकिन मेरा तो argument ये था कि, you know, my parents are not niche.
Yeah.
My parents are beyond that. And I need, if nobody else is working on it, I'm going to put in my energy to do it. तो बहुत सारे इस तरह के challenges थे, being a young women, student, entrepreneur with no background, with no backing. However, we let our work prove the case, right? Our work brought in the mentors, our work brought in like-minded people to be a part of ConnectHear's team. तो आई थिंक जब आप काम करना शुरू होते हैं, हमने कनेक्टचर के शुरू के 2 साल में तो वेबसाइट भी नहीं बनाई थी अपनी. वी ओनली हैड अ फेसबुक पेज एंड इफ समबडी वुड आस्क अस व्हाट्स कनेक्टचर, वी वुड सेंड देम आवर फेसबुक पेज, क्योंकि फेसबुक पर पोस्टिंग करना और ट्रैक्शन लेना फ्री था.
Exactly.
एड्स का भी तो कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं था. वी वर गेटिंग लाइक ऑर्गेनिक एंगेजमेंट. तो वो काम करने से, लोगों को अट्रैक्ट करने से अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह नेचुरली हमारे पास टीम भी बनती गई, काम भी होता गया और लोगों को कनेक्टर का नाम भी
आई थिंक
पता चल
इम्पोर्टेंट चीज ये है कि आपका पैशन, आपका जुनून, दैट एक्चुअली you know created those vibes and those you know जैसे कहते हैं waves एक create की energy waves जो create हुई, उसी की वजह से चीजें attract होना शुरू हुई and you were able to gain that momentum.
And you need to know your beneficiaries, right? Throughout the process, the deaf people were at the heart of it. Everything we would do, we would ask them. So I feel as a person who's passionate about solving an issue, right? We could sit in our, you know, we could drive in our fancy cars and think about the issues that, you know, people are facing who don't have cars, right? हम खुद उनके लिए जब solution बना रहे होते हैं, उससे पहले ज़रूरी to talk to them.
True.
You know, to discuss with them their issues and come up with a solution that would actually matter.
अच्छा, तो your work revolves around technology.
Yeah.
So a solution that is tech based.
Yeah.
Now tell me what was more difficult, building the technology or actually changing the mindsets?
I think changing the mindset is always the toughest thing. Because when you're building something that's so novel, that focuses on a community that nobody has talked about before, it's so important to change mindset. जब 2017 में हमने कनेक्टेड शुरू किया था, my co-founder, the CTO, और he was at it. He wanted to introduce technologies, but then we realized कि हम लोगों को बताएं कि we are working for the deaf community and we are bringing interpreters online available for the deaf people. लोगों को तो ये भी नहीं पता कि deaf लोग जो ज़बान इस्तेमाल करते हैं वो sign language कहलाती है. People don't know that when we act with our hands, it's not just like हाथ हिलाना, ये एक पूरी ज़बान है. तो we had to create so much awareness. हमने 2018 के अंदर एक concert कराया था deaf लोगों के लिए. It was making music accessible for people who can't hear.
Wonderful.
And when we launched it, when we talked about it on Instagram, event से पहले हर किसी का comment आ रहा था कि ये कैसी बात है कि जो लोग सुन नहीं सकते उनको आप music सुनाएंगे.
बिल्कुल.
But at the event, we had sign language interpreters, we had lights adjusted to the feels of the music, and kid you not, if you were there at the event yourself, you couldn't tell कि कौन बंदा deaf है और कौन नहीं.
Wow.
Because everybody was just enjoying music together. And you know, that got so much media attention. Forbes wrote about it. And that helped us to create a mindset कि music जैसी चीज़ जो कि सबका right है, but लोग सोचते हैं कि deaf लोग सुन नहीं सकते, उनके लिए भी accessible है. If we can, you know, walk together, talk together, work together, we can do anything together as a community. I feel ConnectHear was never another food hailing, ride hailing, e-commerce business that you bring it to the market and they're adapters and everybody understands it. We had to create our own market, and that was the toughest thing. It's not only, a change of mindset, it's also the change of a system. The way system was working, excluding these people, we were bringing them in using technology. So it was bringing multiple stakeholders on the table to realize it and also understand that, including people with disabilities in our ecosystem is also an economic case. You're creating
Absolutely.
economic upliftment for them. They're becoming, taxpayers in your society, and that also is making a huge difference.
That's amazing. Wow. So your story kind of tells us that innovation is not just about creating apps. It's about empathy being operationalized.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
love
like
that.
innovation without empathy is like empty.
Yes.
So that's something that is remarkable about your story. I'm so glad that we are doing this, Azima.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad. अभी थोड़ी देर पहले तुमने ये कहा था कि technology, such a big mindset shift, working for a community which is kind of marginalized, and then you being a woman. How hard was it? I mean, did you receive any pushbacks? You were a young entrepreneur with no backing, student. And do you think that as woman, you had to actually make the effort double? So it was doubling of the effort when it came to actually bringing about that change and shifting the mindsets?
Absolutely. I was questioned so many times about the work that I'm doing. People would say that I'm doing it because I'm emotional about this cause. And I feel that when I was starting out, I fought with that so much. Like people are like, oh, you're emotional about it. This is a very nice project that you're working on because you want to create a change, because you're emotionally passionate about it. So I used to toughen up. I used to act like, I'm not only being emotional, but this makes a business case. And then I stopped talking about my story as well, so that people don't only look at me as someone who comes from a deaf family and, is very emotional about bringing a change. So I literally, how we call it, man up.
Yeah.
So I manned up my efforts.
That's such a wonderful thought that you're sharing. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Like that's the term that's used.
Yeah.
However, a mentor of mine made me realize that why do I have to man up? Why can't I be, who I am and just take the privilege of being a woman who has been blessed with the sense of empathy and putting myself in other people's shoes and actually making a difference, and realizing that my ability, my emotional intelligence, my empathetic behavior is my superpower, and my story is my superpower because it is able to bring positive change.
Yeah.
And my femininity and my entire background, my relationship with what God has bestowed me with is something that can bring beautiful change.
Yeah.
So I manned down, I womened up, and I continued with my passion. I made people realize that if women leaders are empathetic, if they are strong, if they are bold, but they also have great emotional intelligence, that just makes me a full package. That's about it.
Wow. What wonderful perspective to the whole thing. And I can kind of sum it up by saying that it's about not about manning up or showing your emotional side or showing your woman side, not playing any of the cards, but actually letting your impact do all the job.
100%.
So it's the impact that you put in front, and you said, I am who I am.
Absolutely.
But it's the impact that's going to work, which is amazing.
I mean, it would be a lie if I say that it never happened to me. I did, try to, get rid of my emotional side. But then, you have to own it up and use it as a superpower. And I think ना सिर्फ ये, but अगर हम बात करें women in entrepreneurship, there were so many times I was in room, I'm sure you're in rooms where there are no other women.
Yep.
And that's the reality of the case. I remember I was in a very high, high level meeting with a lot of stakeholders. My co-founder, who's a male, he was also there. And between the meeting, I told him, I'm like, do you realize I'm the only woman in the room? And he looked around and he said, no, I didn't even think about it. And I said, yes. And this is such a case that people around us probably don't realize that, but we naturally realize it. And we would want that doesn't overshadow us. If we're the only person in the room, we still have to voice our opinions.
Exactly.
And I feel it's about time we bring in more women to the table as well. We support more women as well. There are a lot of young, women aspiring entrepreneurs. उनके पेरेंट्स कभी कभार मुझे रीच आउट करते हैं कि आई वांट माय डॉटर टू गो टू अ सर्टेन प्लेस बट आई एम स्कैर्ड दे विल बी ऑल मेन देयर सो एट टाइम्स आई ऑफर टू गो विद देम कि इट्स ओके आई विल बी द अदर वुमेन इन द रूम बट लेट देम गो एंड आई थिंक it's a pressure, it's a responsibility, but if more women leaders are able to do that, we would be able to shift the narrative.
And honestly speaking, I don't feel intimidated anymore if I'm, sitting in a room full of men. In fact, I feel more powerful. Wow,
Yeah.
And I act accordingly as well. I think at times I overpower them.
Which is great, right?
Yeah, because I've gotten the hang of it, and I'm like, doesn't
You're
really
representing
matter.
all of us.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's there. But you're absolutely right that we need more women leaders.
Absolutely.
And especially more founders like you to come out and, take the charge and bring about that impact.
100%.
The more we have, the more the merrier.
I was on a panel yesterday and that's what I talked about. People are always saying, and I know a lot of women leaders who I dearly respect who also say this, that we don't need Women's Day and we don't need separate panels to talk about women empowerment. But I think we all are empowered, but there are so many other women who, we still need to bring into the table, especially beyond Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, beyond KLI. There's a lot that still needs to happen, and us women leaders will be able to make that happen. Every year, British Council does this like Women of the World, where they bring in such great women speakers. And I think agar aise aur initiatives or events honge, we would keep on learning about more people in the space, calling us, if I'm going to an event, calling you there, so that we create our own fraternity, like our own, group, so that nobody feels left out.
So Azima, as part of the show and as per the format of the show, we have these light and fun segments. So now we are going to sort of shift gears, and I'm going to bring to our mid episode or mid show fun segment. So are you ready for that?
Yes. I'm not the best with rapid fires. I have to tell you that.
Okay.
But
so this one is called This or That. You've seen that, Instagram
that's
trend.
Easy.
So that's
I'll do that.
So no thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a few statements and you're going to pick one. Pick sides, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So startup pitch decks or field work?
Field work.
Field work.
100%.
Okay. Amazing. Interesting. WhatsApp voice notes or long emails?
Oh God, long emails. I'm really bad with voice notes. I'm sorry.
Really? Wonderful. Is it early mornings or late nights?
Oh, late nights. No matter how much I would want to be a morning person, I'm not.
You're not?
Yes.
Neither am I.
Late nights.
थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाता है. Early mornings. Yeah, I'm good with, mid mornings.
Yeah, not early.
Yeah. So, policy meetings or community stories?
Community stories.
Field work and community stories. Yeah. So you want to be there with them.
100%. That's how the work gets happen.
Absolutely. It's with them.
Yeah.
In that group that things get done.
Yeah.
And
I'm
the real
such a
impact
doer.
happens.
Like, you can't make me sit and just talk and talk. I need to do it.
So impact behind the scenes or public recognition?
Oh, impact behind the scenes.
Impact behind the scenes. But I think public recognition is also very important because it creates that momentum.
Yeah, but I feel like it just happens. If you're creating impact, people would find you.
Okay. So, one thing I really respect about your work is that you're not trying to create sympathy.
Yeah.
You are trying to bring in a system change.
Yeah.
So, if you could tell us about that as well, how it is different from sympathy
Yeah.
You're bringing in the element of empathy, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you're focusing on system change.
Absolutely.
You don't want people to sympathize
Yeah,
with that
absolutely
community.
love that. I
Yeah.
remember in 2022, so not, very early in the stage, I would say at that time, we did this like award ceremony for persons with disability on the Disability Day. And I had this professional, he was like a seasoned professional, attend the event on my very request. He was there, very sweet person. And after the event, he came up to me and he said that, you're doing something that is impactful and that focuses on this marginalized community, but you're doing it in the most empowering and impactful, empathetic way. And I think his words and statements stick to me because this is what we need to do. I think I'm very tired of going to events where students with disabilities and children with disabilities are put on stage to do tableau performances, and they're trying to showcase these students in a way that, they can dance or they can perform and it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
But I think we need to change that because we have students with disabilities who are building technologies, who are participating in parliamentary debates, and we need to bring them up and showcase that talent of them and not only the bichara side of them, right?
Exactly.
And I feel that because my parents never made us, my brother and I, feel like that they're bicharas just because they can't hear, we were raised in a very empowered way, looking at them as a full individual. And naturally in our work as well, right? We had a lot of team members with disabilities joining. They were the first people who joined ConnectHear's team. And we never thought that they are people with disabilities, so unka kaam दूसरों से कम होगा.
या उनको differently treat करना होगा.
Because we knew their language, we understood कि उनकी accessibility needs क्या हैं, कि we would deal with them just like everybody else. With them, I would use sign language. With my other employees, I would speak. तो अगर डांट पिट रही है तो sign language में पिट रही है, यहाँ के बात से हो रही है. So I think naturally हमारे अंदर कभी ये case ही नहीं था कि they are different. And what we were doing, how I was performing, how I was leading the way also became an inspiration for society as well. Like I said, a lot of the times your action speaks loud. When we did that concert, we did a theater competition for people with disabilities. We did MUNs जहाँ पर हमने उनको लाया. So I think these were some of the areas that everyone loves, enjoys to do. But they never imagined people with disabilities doing the same thing. And they were shadowed. Like last week ही हमने cricket tournament कराया था, जिसके अंदर we had blind cricket, deaf cricket and wheelchair cricket happening. And when people saw that cricket जैसी चीज़ जो कि हम समझते हैं कि सिर्फ abled bodies कर सकती हैं, जो लोग fit होते हैं, fitness वाले होते हैं, वही कर सकते हैं, but they see like our blind cricket team globally winning more than our regular cricket team.
Yeah.
So that brings a system change. And I feel the only thing that was missing before was people were not talking about it that much.
Yeah.
जो अभी हमारी बात हुई थी कि publicly उसको announce करना, उसको कराना, regular लोगों को ऐसे events पे लाना, realize कराना कि these are not separate topics, we need to mainstream them.
Yeah.
That really brings a system change.
Absolutely.
And I feel that, I was always against the fact that if you're hiring a person with disability, because we do these large scale career fairs as well, that when you hire them, you're not just hiring them to fill up a disability quota and make them to sit aside and not do anything. Like our work with employers is literally to figure out what sort of work that they can be productive in and create value for the company.
Yeah.
मैं जब कंपनीज से भी मिलती हूँ, आई थिंक what you said about बिचारगी, आपकी लैंग्वेज भी बहुत ज़्यादा मैटर करती है. So whenever I meet these companies and they're like, ये लोग क्या करेंगे, so I'm like, they are going to be the most, most amount of people who are going to stay with you. आजकल retention का इतना ज़्यादा मसला है कि everything I speak about with HR is also a business case with them. I never use the language के ये लोग बेचारे हैं, इनके पास कोई job नहीं है तो आप प्लीज़ इन्हें रख लें. I always say that, you know, they're educated, but they're unemployed. If you hire them, they will stick with you for years and years.
Yes.
It's a good business case for you. तो वो आपकी जो language होती है ना, that
I
also
think that
impacts a
matters.
lot. Yeah.
और मुझे ये लगता है कि ट्रू इंक्लूजन जो है वो इंटेंशन से आती है, एडवर्टाइज करने से नहीं आती. अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे यहाँ इंक्लूजन को इस तरह से पोर्ट्रे किया जाता है कि यू डू करियर फेयर्स कर लें, इनको ये रख लें, इनको इस तरह कर लें. वी गोना टॉक अबाउट दैट. बट थोड़ा सा मुझे ये बताओ कि how do you see the future of ConnectHear?
Yeah.
And also I want to hear about your own personal growth.
Yeah.
You know, so future and personal growth, what are your plans?
Yeah, of course. So for ConnectHear, I think that we are very focused right now on technology, and that's going to grow the next coming years as well. We are talking about AI in sign language right now, you know. So we are creating products, like we're making a Duolingo for sign language. We're talking about Google Translate for sign language. So we want to build AI focused products in this space as well, in accessibility tech as well. And we're going to be investing a lot of our energies and time into that, not only to keep it in Pakistan, but also take it to other markets where such technologies don't exist. And also prove the case that although we are Pakistanis, we can create strong, impactful product that the whole world needs right now.
Yeah.
And if you talk about personal growth, I feel I've been so fortunate, alhamdulillah, for the last 8 years to create a beautiful network of supporters who understand how important it is to invest in the social enterprise space and to invest in young entrepreneurs. That personally, I want to work more in that regard as well. I want to empower new ideas and help them get connections that took me 8 years to build, right? So personally, मैं चाहती हूँ कि I create more such enterprises that you know, doesn't have to be led by me, but have more young faces on it and can continue making an impact. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So it's actually like purpose needs that sustainability, and you're working on that. But how do you keep yourself motivated and kind of recharge? Because it must be heavy. It must be burdening on you emotionally, mentally, physically also. But how do you keep that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've burnt out so many times. And I feel especially before when I did not realize that I matter. Right? Like there was a time in my life where it was all about ConnectHear, all about my family, others. And I think in the way I forgot about myself. Even if I would take one day off, I would feel so guilty that, you know, I am, you know, not focusing on what's needed. And it took me a while to understand that if I'm not okay, nothing is going to be okay. I have to take care of my mental health, my physical health. And it's okay to take one day off, 2 days off, or just some time off in the day for yourself. And that realization has been very, very helpful. However, when you talk about staying motivated, I think we're so blessed with a beautiful community that keeps me motivated, my beautiful team that keeps me motivated. We're running a call center where a lot of sign language interpreters are sitting 24/7, and they are, you know, interpreting for deaf community all across. And उनके पास जिस तरह के केसेस आ रहे हैं, जब मुझे पता चलता है कि एक डेफ लड़की थी जो अपने घर के अंदर हरास हो रही थी और कनेक्टेड एप्लीकेशन की वजह से उसे मौका मिला कि वो पुलिस से बातचीत कर सके और अपने आप को उस घर से निकाल कर एक शेल्टर होम में जा सके. When I get to know that there was a deaf person who was, you know, kept in jail overnight because वो पुलिस से बात नहीं कर पाया और पुलिस को लगा कि वो intoxicated है, not realizing that he's deaf. And then जब उसे मौका मिला अपने घर पे कॉल करने का, उसने कनेक्टर को कॉल की और हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू सपोर्ट ली कि वो पुलिस वाले को समझा सके कि वो डेफ है. When I get to know कि there is a deaf person who was not employed for years, but now has a job because when he finally walked into an interviewer's office and was able to get his thoughts interpreted through an interpreter on the phone, that keeps me going. And I think that keeps my entire team going, because at the end of the day हम अपने आप से यही सवाल पूछते हैं कि अगर कनेक्शन ना होता तो इन लोगों के साथ क्या होता.
हाँ, so that keeps you motivated. Wow,
that
that's
keeps
so
me going.
emotional and thoughtful, my God. Now we come to your favorite rapid fire round.
My favorite, of course.
Okay, one word answers.
Oh
You know
God.
that.
Can I say like skip if I don't get anything?
No,
just skip.
it's very simple. You
Okay,
know
okay.
it. You're pro at it.
Acha, chale. I'll try.
Yeah, leadership.
Like what sense? Leadership.
What is leadership?
Oh, leadership. Leadership is
one word.
Empowering.
Empowering. Wow. Inclusion is?
I think essence for me. The essence of my existence.
Wow. See, you're pro. Fear.
Fear. Missing out. And not like missing out on opportunities, but missing out on people who need ConnectHear and we are probably not able to reach them.
Okay, so that's fear for you. And failure?
Failure is just another learning. I would say learning. Yeah.
Pakistan's biggest strength?
People.
Yeah.
Yep. Us, people, biggest strength of Pakistan.
And your personal superpower?
My emotional intelligence.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I give it very less credits, but alhamdulillah for being blessed with it.
Wow. Amazing. So you've done it so well.
It's done.
Better than many others.
I can relax now. मैं बिल्कुल chair पे ऐसे हो गई थी कि कुछ miss ना हो जाए.
No, it was amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Clap for you. So now we come to the conclusion of our episode, and what I would like you to do is to give what kind of message that you would like to give to the youth, because हमारी सबसे बड़ी segment youth है पाकिस्तान की. तो आप यूथ को क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे विद ऑल योर लर्निंग? क्या करे हमारी यूथ? बिकॉज व्हाट आई कैन से कंफर्टेबली वेल that our youth is very passionate.
100%.
They want to bring about change.
Yes.
They believe in purpose.
Yeah.
हमारी जनरेशन, I mean मेरी जनरेशन की तरह, तुम्हारी तो नहीं, मेरी जनरेशन की तरह नहीं है, जो कि you know एक structured thought के पीछे भाग रहे थे कि भाई ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. हमारी यूथ आजकल की purpose driven.
Yes.
They need purpose to, you know, their purpose is the hook for them. So what is it that they should do?
By the way, I have to first say that, mashallah, you are very young at heart. So, yeah, you're very young at heart. And like, whenever somebody tells...
but I have to accept the facts.
Yeah, you do have a lot of experience. But every time I meet you, I don't feel like we have an age gap, which is beautiful, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being that. We need more leaders like that as well. My message to the youth is, your voice matters, right? Like, you might feel you're too young for something, but your voice matters. It's only about how you package it and deliver it. I feel that the newer generation, of course, they're so passionate, but they need to understand how to best put forward their words, their thoughts, and that is important. Because if you're going to burn bridges with the other generation, you won't be able to make the impact you want to make. You need to realize your purpose is bigger than you. Make sure your voice is heard, but package it in a way that would be heard by the society. That matters.
Okay. So can I comfortably say that especially our women, you know, the younger women, that, you know, you need to start even before you're ready?
100%.
Yeah, because that's very important. हम जब कोई चीज स्टार्ट, कोई आइडिया, कोई थॉट आती है, तो पहले ये होता है, अच्छा नहीं, पहले मैं इसको पूरा स्टार्ट टू एंड प्लान कर लूं, उसके बाद परफेक्शनिस्ट ना. तो वो और सारा मसला ये होता है कि एक फियर होता है, फियर ऑफ फेलियर. व्हाट इफ दिस थिंग डजंट you know doesn't yield any results? मैं तुम्हें अपना quickly, I will just add one thing. When I got the thought of starting a podcast, and this Rise Beyond titles came to my mind, I didn't give a lot of thought to it, except for the fact, okay, I want to get started. I started with it, and yet I don't know where will it go. But I feel so empowered starting something on my own, doing things that I want to do, 100%. That I like to do, that I enjoy doing, and the thought is very empowering. And I think from your journey and from your story, I would also like to pass on this message that, start before you're ready. At times you don't have all the answers. At times you don't have all the plan there. Just get started with it. Trust your gut. And even if you fail, I mean, what if that you fail? That's okay. I mean, you will do something better next time.
You will gain something.
You will gain something.
सबको ये समझना ज़रूरी है कि success is not like your business being very, very superb and you're making a lot of money and all that, but every experience teaches you something. It's all about looking for that something that has happened. Did it help you gain 2 friends who you didn't have before? Did it help you to gain, a network that you didn't have before? Every experience teaches you something. Even failure teaches you so much. It's all about nazariya. आपने उस नजरिए से उसको देखना है.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल. And to all my audience watching out there, I think this conversation and this Azima story also reminds us, and it reminds me also, that impact is created not just by doing something, it's actually created by impact. And thank you so much, Azima, once again, for coming out on this show, sharing your stories, sharing your voice out there. And hats off to all the wonderful work that you're doing. My best wishes are there with you. And I will also share with you what I have in mind for this particular episode and going forward.
Okay.
And this was something that I came up with while I was having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
So power of impact.
Thank you.
So with this, we come to the conclusion. Thank you, everyone. Keep, your thoughts there. If you notice there's something wrong, get on to it. Start working towards it. Don't wait for other people to come and do something about it. Like Azima, just take the charge in your hand. Start creating that impact, and you will definitely get there. And you may not have the whole plan ready out there. Feasibility study कराने की भी ज़रूरत नहीं है. कभी कभार start लेना ही सबसे ज़्यादा important होता है. Stick करना बहुत ज़्यादा important होता है. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe Rise Beyond Titles, and stay tuned for another exciting episode. Thank you all very much. Allah Hafiz and goodbye.